Hi guys, this is Rachel Kinnison from Diamond K Folk Art, and today we're continuing on with this cute little dome top box. I wanted to show you how nice, look at the difference between a plain edge and a cute little gold stamped edge. Super cute, and I stamped out these papers on my acid-free paper, and I'm just going to put this gold stamp paper around the top edge. I'm going to do a green padded interior in here, and the first thing when you are ready to start your box, you've picked out your box and it's in its final formations, the first thing you want to think about is what color you're going to do on the inside, and then pick your papers from there. Now, we'll always use a plain acid-free paper for the outside because we don't want any colored paper on the outside leaching. Color could leach out into the embroidery over time, so we don't go there. You just want to use a plain acid-free paper for the outside. The inside, you know, your imagination is your only limit on the inside. The first thing to do is paper the outside. I say first thing. That's what I want to tackle first. Also on this is going to be glued with the acid-free paper on the outside, and then I usually do some kind of a marble paper on the other side, so I'll figure that out and do that. But I wanted to put these little papers around this edge here. It's the only edge. These edges are going to have a different treatment, and so I wanted just a personal preference. I wanted my fold downs from this edge here to be underneath the paper on the outside. So what I mean by that is this just a little scrap. So when I paste these down like this, you have a fold over like so, and I wanted this fold over edge to be underneath the outer paper. I didn't want to paper it all and wrap it over twice, you know, and then put these on, because then now I have two layers of paper here where I only need a single layer. And up here I just papered right over my little magnets. They work just fine through the paper. So I have some wax paper on my workbench here. I like to use wax paper just to keep everything nice and clean. Actually, get me another piece here. I go ahead and glue on this paper, and then when it gets nasty, I can fold it in half and I can use a little bit more of it. I have my Yes paste here, and a palette knife. This is one that I use all the time. It's a rather narrow one. They come in all different shapes and sizes, so just get one, whatever's your preference. Now I've already cut my strips apart. Make sure you can see it. I've already cut my strips apart, and I don't know if you can tell on this one, but I've put the long piece along the bottom and top, and then I put the short piece with the miter edge straight up and down. That's my pattern, and I'm sticking to it just because that's how I did the top, so that's how I'm going to do the bottom. So the top one, where you have the hinges that you have to come around, that could be kind of tricky, but it isn't really. So I'm just going to kind of pre-score my paper on the front here. I know that it's the same thickness, so this will just give me an idea of where I'm putting my, where I'm going to put my paper. So I just kind of pre-crease it. Now I'm going to set it on here, and I think I'll go down a little bit further. So I'm just going to turn it over and bend it and crease it with my finger here, like that. That gets my length. So I'll cut those off. Let's see. Also need a straight blade, a nice sharp straight blade. Okay, so this is where I have my length. Now I'm just going to take, and you can either mark it with a pencil. I'll mark it with a pencil here so it's easy to see. Or if I'm just working by myself, I won't even bother marking it with a pencil. I'll just cut it with the, I'll take my straight blade and just score it right here on each side. But so you can see what I'm doing, I've marked here, this flap I have to cut out to make room for the barrel of the hinge right there. So I'll just cut it a bit with my scissors here. Alright. So now that I have those cut, I'm going to go ahead and bend that backwards on that crease, just to keep them up and out of the way as I'm gluing. We'll see how that fits first. So I'm going to put the tabs down in the crease, and you know, when you paper this way, you don't have to, a lot of people, they don't want to install hardware. They don't want to, you know, maybe you don't have the tools to take hinges on and off, you know. So this way you can paper right around the hinge, just making sure my paper's in the right spot here. Put my straight edge back behind there, and it is. So I will take, and with my straight edge, I just kind of gonna crease it in front of the hinge. This is just showing me where I'm going to cut this paper out. And at this point you could take your straight blade razor and just cut that paper right in front of the hinge like that and get rid of it. Okay, so we have it like that. So it's fit pretty nice. Now the only other thing to do is on this area right here, I'm going to take my straight blade razor and I'm going to just score it, so now I can, that flap can go down like that. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Good straight blade razor, always indispensable when you're doing any kind of papering. So this is my good area, no glue on the ground over here. I do all my gluing over here on this side. And I do kind of want to work a little bit quick with this yes, because, well, you know, your environmental conditions, this is the thickness of it here. It should be like, you know, soft, creamy peanut butter. That's the right thickness of your yes paste. Depending though, you don't want to be working where you have a fan blowing right on you when you're gluing anything, when you're using any glue really, because that's going to dry out your glue quicker. And I got my air conditioning going on because it's over 100 here today in Colorado, so we are going to work quickly and get this on there. So I just use my palette knife. I'm going right off of the paper because you want glue on all your edges. All the way off the edge is where you want your glue. So hold the paper in the same spot. If you're going to shift your paper, then you'll get glue on the front. So I just put a nice even coat on. I have a wet rag here. Then I take the glue off my fingers. Then I have a dry rag. I dry off my fingers. Now I pick up my piece. And we will first start out just like we did before by putting the tabs down through to the back. Wipe off my fingers again. And now we just press it down. It's pretty simple. I have this little square here I like to use for the back to get that pressed on. Press that on the back. Flatten the front. Now with these gilded tapes, if you decide to use gilt tapes, you don't want to have wet fingers and be running your fingers back and forth over the gilding on the tape, because you'll take it off. Depending on how many times you're running back and forth. And I'm also, if I get any glue on my straight edge, I am wiping it off immediately. We want the glue to be where we want it, not where it just gets stuck on there from something else. Okay. Now I'm just gonna, and like with anything else, you just kind of gotta, especially where you have a crease, you just kind of got to keep going back over it, making sure that it's sticking down. So I keep wiping off my fingers. And I'll wipe this off. I like to use Yes paste. You know, wheat paste is good for putting down these tapes, because it kind of it has a lot higher water content, so it saturates the paper more, and it's easier to paper over like a shape like this when I am papering a crease, a right angle. And I'm just going to keep pushing it down like that. Now, for the inside of the box, I'm going to do a padded interior, and that padded interior will come all the way up to the top of this edge here. So this little edge right there is not going to show at all. And it's a little tacky on the outside, so I'm going to take my rag here, just going to put it around my straight edge, just to get that excess glue off of the inside of my box right there. Don't want that excess glue. Alright, looks pretty good. I'm going to take it, turn it around back here, and make sure that these are down nice and flat. Don't you love a round top box, huh? And then I'll do the same thing here. I'll just wipe any excess glue that's squeezed out. Always be clean with your glue, you know. Don't let it be the boss of you. You're the boss of the glue. It's only where you want it to be. And with any glue, a little wet cleanup right when you put it on saves you having to pick it off or chip it off later if it's gotten somewhere that you didn't want it to get to. Okay, so that looks good. Alright. And I will just continue then with the other. Now see, look, see this little stubborn spot right there? That little stinker doesn't want to sit down. That bothers me. It's going to be covered over later, But you know what? That's just not me. That's not who I am. I want there to be glue underneath there. And obviously, there isn't glue underneath there right there, or it would be sticking down. So, I'm going to wash off my palette knife real quick. I'm just going to get a smidge of glue, just a smidge. And I'm just going to, how am I going to do this? I'm going to have it on the front of my palette knife. That'd be better, huh? Just going to just kind of work it up into there. Actually, I could probably just do that. Oh yeah, that's working better. Wash off my fingers again. Dry off my fingers. With glue, you don't want it where you don't want it. So, a wet rag, a dry rag. That is like your two most important tools when you're gluing, is your rags, so that you can wipe your fingers. How many times you see somebody that they've been working on their casket, they've been working on their embroidery, you know, so much time you spend on that embroidery, and then they go to mount it, and they push it on, they hold it on, and they've got glue on their fingers. And so now forever and a day there is a glue stain there because they had glue on their fingers and they didn't realize it. Alright, I'm just going to wipe these hinges. They feel a little bit tacky right there. And now in turn I'll wipe off my elbow because I put it on my glue paper. Alright, that's why our glue paper is over here and not over here where our good stuff is. Okay, so with that looks good. I think we will move on and we can do the front now. We can do the front the same way. I think I'll start right there with this one. To get the length of the paper, I'm just going to crease it right here. I'll crease it right here. I line up this edge and then I come down here and crease it. And I don't throw these away. It takes me too long to make these. I don't throw them away. I use them for something. I don't know what, but I'm going to use it for something. Alright. Now I'm going to do this one the same as I did. I'm going to kind of pre-crease it. I'm going to center my design on there. Yep. Just lay it on. I cut the paper now. You want to cut the paper dry for these little, I don't know if you can see that, for these. You want to score your paper when it's dry, because when you have the glue on the back of it, it makes the paper soggy, and it will tear. It's not going to cut nice and crisp. Okay, so there's that one.